Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome into another edition of GC Live. Got a lot of baseball to talk today, obviously, and it's going to be coming from us. So I am your host, Jack Veltri, joined as always by 2010 College World Series champion, former South Carolina right-handed pitcher, and I guess now South Carolina Athletics, University of South Carolina Athletics Hall of Famer, Ethan Carter. Technically, I guess, right? So
Technically, yeah,
I, I
man.
I guess we can add that to your title because yesterday we got the news that the 2010 and 2011 College World Series winning teams from South Carolina baseball have been inducted or will be inducted into the USC Athletics Hall of Fame this November. We're going to talk more about that kind of towards the end of the show. But Ethan, first off, congratulations on that honor, and how you doing, buddy?
I appreciate it, man. I'm doing great. It's like I said, we'll talk about it a little bit later on. We got some important things to talk about, but I'm very blessed, very blessed to be a part of one, the university, but two, the baseball program during that time, and we're all very excited. It was wonderful news, and we are ready for that big day, coming this fall.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very exciting. We'll again dive more into that as the full Hall of Fame class was announced yesterday. Of course, 2010 and 2011 teams were going to be inducted, and Steve Spurrier, another big name on there. So we'll talk more about that later. But we do have a lot to discuss with Gamecock baseball, as the title of this stream does say. There's a lot of stuff being reported out there, a lot of different things being said. And we're going to try to give a little bit of perspective on what is going on with Kevin Schnall and just everything on that. And at least from what we're reporting on Gamecock Central and as well as the Big Spur on
Mm-hmm.
three. But before we get into any of that, I got to talk to you guys real quick about Clinton Hammond of CMG Home Loans. If you're in the market to buy a home, need help with your mortgage, give a call to our guy Clint at 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for Clint is 71597, or go to clinthammond.com for more info. And if you're in the market to buy a home, need help with your mortgage, don't know where to start, want to clear up any confusion, get in contact with Clint. He's been in the mortgage industry for over 20 years now. He's a lifelong Gamecock fan, and also a longtime supporter of Gamecock Central and all of our GC Live programming. So all of his info will be above us here on screen. Thank you, Clint. All right, Ethan. So let's go ahead and just get right off the bat with the biggest stuff we got to talk about. We're going to get into a lot of different topics today. But first, the Kevin Schnall situation.
Yep.
South Carolina is still not hired a head coach as when we're talking here, 1:33 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 3rd, 2026. I thought maybe we'd get something soon here, but it seems like nothing is set in stone yet. I know the latest reporting's out there from us. I know David Cloninger, Post and Courier. Nothing is a done deal yet. Maybe it seems like things are trending in that direction, but nothing official yet. So there's that. I know there's been some reports out there that something's going to be announced today. I don't know if I would expect that to be the case. I'm kind of thinking like if it's going to be Schnall, I think maybe an answer by like the end of this week.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not anticipating any. I'm not saying don't like take it all with a grain of salt. I don't think anything's going to happen today. But you never know. Crazy things can happen. But I'm thinking, we'll see. We'll see if there's an answer by the end of the week. That I'll leave it at that. But yeah, and that's part of it too. Again, we're all under the same roof at On Three.
Yep.
So those guys are as good as anybody. I know they've talked about on their show today. So, but anyway, regardless, again, just reporting what we know is out there and what we've heard over on our site. But yeah, are you surprised that there hasn't been anything yet so far?
No, so we were texting quite a bit over the weekend, especially with the regionals going on, just kind of different things that we had seen, and that we might have a few of the coaching candidates available this week. West Virginia pulled it out over Kentucky this weekend, so I know that kind of if it was a two-person race, which is kind of the stuff I'd been hearing, between Schnall and Saban's kind of being the top two candidates. That with West Virginia winning, that got pushed. That got kicked down the road. So I'm not surprised. I think Schnall has been the leading candidate since the firing happened. So it is that man's a Coastal Carolina Hall of Famer, and he's he waited a long time for that job. So I wouldn't have expected him to make a decision if it is Kevin Schnall, if he is being offered the job and he is deliberating on accepting it. I wouldn't expect it to be 2 or 3 days after 2 days after they were eliminated in kind of heartbreaking fashion with that whole rain delay fiasco. So I'm not surprised. Like you said, if it is Schnall by the end of the week, I would expect to hear something. But these coaching searches, can take a life of their own, and all it takes is somebody to have a change of heart, and then you're right back at square one. So we'll see what happens with that.
No, totally. I think that's a good point you bring up there. Is like, yeah, I mean, if Schnall. If South Carolina's leading top target that they want is Schnall and he says no, then you kind of go back to the drawing board and go down the list. And, we don't know what South Carolina's exact list is in terms of like who they want. Obviously, it's being reported out there that like Steve Sabins is one of the other leading candidates. I know Jamie Bradford reported that to keep an eye on a name like Oklahoma State's Josh Holiday potentially. A name that's kind of been thrown into the mix here as of late, potentially. But yeah, I mean, if you're kicking the can down the curb, I mean, Oklahoma State's out of the postseason. West Virginia is still in the postseason. You're kind of at that point. If it's not a guy that's out of the field right now, you're potentially waiting a little bit because
doing
super regionals like your Kansases of the world with Fitzgerald, with West Virginia, with Sabins. Those guys are still in the postseason, and honestly, look at West Virginia. They have a pretty clear path towards Omaha if they can beat Cal Poly this weekend. So, I mean, look, I think if it's gonna be Schnall, I feel like we'll know sooner rather than later. Like I feel like this week makes a lot of sense. Do I know that for sure? No, but I think again, while nothing is officially done, I think if it were going to be Schnall, I think we would have an idea this week. If it's somebody else, I don't know. I don't know how long that would potentially take. It just depends on who we're talking about here.
Yeah,
we don't know who that guy is. If it's not going to be like a Kevin Schnall or someone along those lines. So
I mean, to your point, we'll know. I mean, because I don't see one for Schnall as if he is staying at Coastal. He's going to let everybody know so he can start, recruiting guys to in the transfer portal come Coastal. So I think one way or another, we will know officially on Schnall. I'd say by the end of the week, maybe a little Friday news dump. But yeah, we'll have a real clear picture of what the plan is. I think by the end of the week, whether we have a new baseball coach or not.
Yeah, and once there is a new coach, once we do know that information, you and I will hop on here and we'll go through it. We'll talk everything about it. But obviously, as far as what we know right now, nothing is a done deal as far as Kevin Schnall goes, despite some of what is being reported out there. As it seems like there's been some reports that things are getting done, but nothing is set in stone yet.
Yep.
Next up, what we got to talk about after the coaching search here, there has been a lot of transfer portal activity.
Yes.
Now, of course, right now, South Carolina is not recruiting out of the transfer portal, which makes sense because A, they don't have a coach, and B, they don't have an interim coach. So they don't have anybody they don't have anybody at the top to recruit right now. So the only action we're seeing is guys hitting the portal from South Carolina. And boy, there have been a lot of them. We had a few the first few days. There were 4 leading into the end of May. And then once June 1st hit, we had, I believe, talking about 12 guys in total from South Carolina hit the transfer portal. So I'll read off the names real quick of all the guys, and then we'll kind of just break it down. Josh Gunther, Dawson Harmon, Alex Valentine, Patrick Dudley, Gavin Brayland, KJ Scobie, Bo Hollins, Riley Goodman, Hudson Lee, Zach Russell, Will Craddock, Logan Prisco, Josh Gregoire, Brandon Stone, Caleb Hoover, and then you got Elijah Foster. So a ton of guys. I believe it's up to 16 now in total.
Yeah, 16 is the last number I saw.
16 in total. And then you talk about the 5 guys that are out of eligibility. Half your roster is already gone. Now, let's clarify this for a second. So just because you enter the transfer portal does not automatically mean you're officially done with the program. Until those guys sign elsewhere, there is always the chance that they could come back. And I think the case is with some of those guys, like, Will Craddock, for example. Guys like that are going to have the opportunity to come back to South Carolina. It's just Carolina's got to convince those guys to stay. I think what we're seeing a lot of them do is there's no coach right now. They want to get into the portal and have some reassurance that there's an option for them out there. So that way, if they entered, like, I don't know, let's say June 10th or something, and then that's when South Carolina hires a coach, and then Carolina decides, yeah, we don't want you here next season. Go look elsewhere. Well, you're already 10 days into the portal cycle.
Yeah.
Guys are committing elsewhere. Most schools have their head coach for next season. So teams are getting filled up. Roster spots are being taken. So I think this is just to get ahead of the curve a little bit. That's just my thought on it. But, yeah, just your overall thoughts on the way things are going so far with the portal filling up for South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, because I think everything you said is true. And also on the business side of it, some of those guys can enter the portal freely now, and when whoever comes back, whoever South Carolina's next coach is, they can say, this is a number I'm expecting. They're like, I got this number from another school. If you want me to come back, this is where it is. From a business side of it. So, but yeah, I'm not surprised. Like you said, man, these rosters can fill up really fast. And guys don't want to be caught holding the bag because, whoever the next coach is, like we've talked about, in previous lives, that the new coach is going to bring a good set of players with him. I'd venture to say whatever coach comes, they're going to have at least 5 to 10 guys coming with them. So you don't want to get caught in that limbo of, am I going to be on the odd man out whenever the new roster turnover happens? So definitely not surprised. I won't be surprised if, it's like we said, 16 are in the portal. I wouldn't be surprised if 5 or 6 of them end up back at South Carolina. I know some of those names read off have had good experiences at South Carolina and have enjoyed their time there, or enjoyed their time here. And so I wouldn't be surprised once the staff's in place and they have a chance to talk to the new staff and kind of hear their ideas, if they are wanted back, that, some of these guys will happily sign on the dotted line and come back to the Garnet and Black.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think most of those guys, though, I think some of those guys, I'd say, like, most of the guys on that list, I'm not surprised that they're entering the portal.
No, not at all.
I think some of them are probably – I don't think all of them are going to be looking to come back. I think some just need a fresh start. I think some need to go elsewhere, get more playing time. Maybe they're going to get more money. I mean, you can't rule that part out because I feel like everything revolves around financial situations nowadays.
Yeah.
But some guys, I think, like a Craddock, I'm a little surprised he entered just because he's from here and all that. He's from this state in Anderson. And I thought he had a pretty good season, all things considered. I know he struggled in SEC play, but led the team in home runs. I mean, that's a guy you want to build around. And again, it's not set in stone that he's going to be gone, but it is worth mentioning there was the do not contact tag on him. So that typically means he's got his option in mind to go elsewhere. But, we'll see I don't think it's over with him yet. Bo Hollins, KJ Scobie. I think those are the big names to talk about here as far as guys that have hit the portal. I'm not surprised. I think, with KJ specifically, when we're talking about those guys here now, I'm not surprised with KJ. I think, he's not from this state. He's from Florida. Bo is a local guy. He's a legacy guy with his dad and his family, being here and playing here and all that. So that one might be a little bit more surprising, but obviously Bo did not have the season he thought he was going to. And it was banged up with injuries, just didn't hit really at all. But I think it's tough to lose a guy that is 6'4", 220 pounds, a switch hitting first baseman. You don't find those guys growing on trees. So your thoughts on those two guys in particular hitting the portal?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised of any of the top guys that they've entered the portal. I like I said, Bo, KJ, Brandon Stone, and Will Craddock. I'm not surprised that any of them have. And I think it is going to be a lot of, they're opening their recruitment up, and they're going to hear pitches from I would guess at least 3 of the 4, if not all 4, are going to be hearing from other SEC schools. So and right, I'm not surprised. As I said, in this day and age, when you don't have a coach, you want to get your name out there. You want to get talking to people, and I think that once the staff's in place, again, I won't be surprised if a handful of these guys come back. I think I'd be more surprised if they don't retain a good chunk of these guys once the next coaching staff's in place. If that's who the next coaching staff wants, I mean that's another thing. I think no matter who we're getting in, we're going to see a different brand of baseball that South Carolina's played in a long time. So maybe that does lend to rejiggering the roster, altogether. Because I mean, like I said, we can get more into once they hire somebody what that coach's brand of baseball is, but I think it's going to be a lot different than what we've seen, in Columbia for, probably since Coach Tanner took over, or in the mid 90s. It's just going to be a different brand. It's going to be a new era, a new age. And I expect some guys to be back, but I can't blame them for go ahead and getting out in front of the process early either.
Yeah. And Goodman's another one too. Riley Goodman. That's another one that's like, he's from Tennessee. I wouldn't be shocked if like Tennessee or Vandy swoops in to try and get him. But, that's a guy you don't want to lose.
Nope.
You hope you can keep him because I think get him with the right pitching coach, make the right adjustments, and see what happens. Because the guy throws 96, 97, and you need that guy. You need a guy like that. But, yeah, I think there's a few guys you'd like to keep. I don't know about Bo or KJ. I think you'd let those guys kind of walk. I think it's fine. I think Stone. Yeah, I personally would like to keep Stone. I think he's pretty good, but I think you can live without it. I think here's the thing: if all these guys do end up like officially like going into other schools, I think it's fine. I think you will make up for it by going in and getting new guys to come in and fill those spots. Because like you said, Ethan, wherever the new coach comes from is going to bring players with him. He's going to bring recruits with him. You're going to go into the transfer portal and JUCO and go get more guys to come on in. But I do think there are guys that can help you that are on this current team right now. Like I think Zach Russell's a guy that entered the portal that I think would be someone that had about 2.5 ERA this year, breakout year as a sophomore. You'd like to have him back. There are other guys that I think can help you, but I think we are heading to a point where this is going to be like last year where only 10 guys returned last year. Me personally, I know there's a few guys that are still up in the air making decisions based on what happens here with the coaching search, waiting it out to see what happens. But I do think we're heading towards this team looking a bit different next year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we said last year, last year was the worst year in program history until this year. So, it's one of those things where I think this past year's team had some good players on it, but again, it was a program that is the worst based on wins and losses, is the worst team in the program's history in 50, 60 years. So, like, I there are absolutely guys I want back, but I don't think anybody's going to lose sleep if we are just kind of revamping this thing again, and hiring somebody for the long haul, and somebody that we're gonna trust to put their culture in, put their process in, and go from there. Because our critique of the Palmieri era, this was what did he say? It was an Omaha roster, just needed some tweaks,
Something
and
like that.
then produce a truly dreadful season. So we're not in Omaha in a couple tweaks territory anymore. We've got to build this thing back up. We've got to get the ship on the right path, and that's going to take a little bit of time. I expect whoever's coming in to hit the ground running and get this thing turned around quicker than sooner rather than later. But I don't expect Omaha next year either. Like, I'm going to be a realist about that. But so all that long-winded way to say is that, yeah, there are some guys I want back, but there's nobody that I'm like, man, this team, that's the make or break player for this team.
No, I agree. And portal's open until June 30th, so guys have until then to enter. Again, you can make additions after the portal closes. It's just this window is for guys to enter. So you got another 27 days here for guys to figure out what they want to do. I'm trying to think. I think there were, I can't remember how many guys are all on this team, but you're definitely over halfway through the team with guys that have made decisions. Again, some of those guys can decide to come back. We'll see. But yeah, as of right now, I mean, a lot of guys have hit the portal, and we'll see what that means for the team moving forward. Before we get into everything else, got to talk to you guys real quick about our good friend Andy Ludicky, who has been sponsoring our baseball coverage throughout this season and now into the off season here. Andy is a big baseball fan, and from his line of work, he has seen firsthand the fantastic traits that baseball players bring to the franchise world. If you're sick of your job, ready to leave the corporate rat race, want to diversify, build wealth, and or leave a legacy, have a job and want a side hustle, Andy can help you out. He's a franchise consultant as well as a franchise owner. And he helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, passions, and financial requirements. His services are 100% free, and he's here to help if you have any questions about business ownership. Head on over to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more, or text or call Andy at 404-973-9901. Thank you, Andy. All right, man. So we talked about the search, what we know. Again, nothing's a done deal as of right now, and I would not expect it to be anytime soon. Like right now, as we're talking here on air, things can always change. Who knows? The transfer portal is open. And of course, the big news that we said we're going to talk about at the end here is the SC Athletics Hall of Fame is inducting you guys into its Hall of Fame this November 5th, I believe it is, on that Thursday during homecoming weekend. I'll let you take it from here. How did you find out? What was your reaction? I know we talked a little bit about it on radio this morning, but for those that have not gotten to hear or don't know what we're talking about, go ahead and break it down for us.
Yeah, man. So we got a group text from the former head of baseball operations, Kyle Lipsy. I don't know what Kyle's title is anymore within the university, but Kyle Lipsy ran everything when I played baseball for the program. So we got a text from Kyle telling us that Coach Tanner had an announcement for us on Monday night, and would really appreciate if we could all be on a Zoom call together or Teams call. So we got the link on Monday, and honestly had no idea what the call was going to be about. We didn't see who else was on the text thread, but I since I was on it, I figured it was something to do with the championship teams, but. So we get on there and we see some guys getting on, Robert Berry's on there, Witt, Jackie. We had a good mix of guys. Belcher. I think all we had about 20 to 25 guys on the call from the two teams, and we all caught up for a little bit. God, I hadn't talked to some of these guys in years at this point, so we all just kind of talked a little bit, and then Coach Tanner informed us that we would be the first teams in school history ever inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it was, it felt great. These, again, usually it's only individuals getting the Hall of Fames, and, you play this game for the team stuff, but, to be recognized being a Hall of Fame is incredible. And it's something, it's always been a dream of mine to be in a school or some type of Hall of Fame, when it comes to athletics. And, man, getting to do that and getting to share that with the guys on the team that we did all those special things with. It's really cool. So I'm excited, man. We're, like I said, we have the induction on the 5th. Then we're gonna have a little baseball. We're gonna have a little get together, for just the team on the 6th, and then we'll see when it comes to all that. So it's going to be really great to see some of these guys. I talk to some of them semi regularly, but like I haven't seen Adrian Morales, who we were roommates at one point, but I haven't seen Adrian in a decade. Like I went to Florida to see him about a decade ago, and that's the last I've seen him. I haven't seen Nolan Belcher since his wedding. So man, it's gonna be great to see some of these guys and all of us get to catch up in person, and it's just real exciting. Like it's a great honor. I think kind of what we talked about. It's a great way to get the alumni back into it, and I hope this is just like a kind of a stepping stone to get more alumni stuff put together and get it all back involved and make this place feel like home for everyone.
I can't help but feel like, we've talked about this plenty on this show, that something needs to change as far as getting the alumni back involved in this program, because it's quite frankly just a little bit ridiculous that the last time I think South Carolina has done anything to get the alumni really, really involved was like 2025 when Coach Tanner got his name on the field. And I think there were like over 100 alumni there. And again, that's from all different eras of Gamecock baseball. So they've done a few things, but it needs to be a little bit more like this, I think. Like you talked about a week or two ago, that there used to be the alumni game and the alumni golf tournament, and just for a whole weekend. So I think this is a good step in the right direction. I don't know if this is like directly supposed to be that way, or if it was just a coincidence that you guys did, but it kind of feels like this is a good step towards getting baseball back on track. And look, you got to hire the right coach, you got to bring the right players, all that stuff, got to make improvements to Founders Park, but the core of it, you need these alumni, so many good ones, including yourself, to be involved in this program in some capacity. Feel like you guys are welcome here at this university with this program, and it should be that way for sure. And, I'm a little surprised it's taken this long to do something like this, but it is pretty cool that this is going to be the case.
Yeah, and and Coach Tanner was kind of I say up front, was open about like he as being the AD, he's been a part of these kind of discussions, and he said it's not like it's pretty rigorous, the process that goes through on deciding who's honored like this and what, and who gets to enter these kind of things. And so like that, even more so, being the first team ever inducted into the Hall of Fame, because we've had some great teams through multiple sports across across eras, and so us being the first ones, that really means a lot, and that's an honor I don't take lightly and just real excited to get down there, see some teammates again, and like I said, just kind of relive some of those memories that, it's been, like I said, 16 years, June, whatever it is, will be 16 years since we won that first World Series.
What do you feel like is the next step as far as continuing to make sure these alumni are feel like they are appreciated? Like, what would you, as a guy that's been here with this program, like, what would you like to see happen next beyond this first, the Hall of Fame inductee?
Yeah. So that's taking place in November. I'd like to see something, around baseball season, and because again, I know with the new coach getting everything involved, I mean, heck, I like to get down there sometime a little bit earlier in the fall while kind of fall ball's still going on. Meet with the, I say meet with the staff, say hello to the staff, say hey. And meet the new team, be around those players, watch them practice, watch them scrimmage, just kind of be around, have a little bit of an event down there. And then I definitely want to see something during the season. Like that'd be kind of like ideal. Cause November 5th, they're going to be done.
They might be done. I'm going to say they're likely going to be done.
Yeah.
But again, whoever the new coach is, I don't know what their fall schedule is going to look like.
Yeah, exactly. So, if it works out that can all kind of be down there that weekend. So like I said, I love to meet the team, get to know some of these guys on the new team, and then do something in the spring, with the alumni, come back out, and then, be able to then reconnect with some of these guys that, we've spent some time with. We've gotten to them a little bit, and then come down for a weekend series, or it doesn't have to be a whole series, for a game or whatever, and be a part of it, because like I said, just want to be a part of the program. It's, not everything needs to be, a recognition or, there does have to be pomp and circumstance around all of it, just kind of getting guys back involved is, I think, what a lot of people would like. It doesn't have to be a on-field recognition for everything, but get something together, set up a tailgate before a baseball game, maybe get in there early, watch BP, and then come back out, hang out, and then come in, before the game or whatever, do something like that, just like I said, get around the program again, be able to connect across generations and across eras. And once those things happen, then then things happen organically. Then guys start to plan their own trips to come down. It can kind of organically happen versus always have to be, set up by the school or the program.
And I feel like that helps so much with, you said it, you want to meet these guys and whatnot. I feel like that helps in a day and age where, especially in South Carolina, the rosters are different every year. You get a lot of guys that don't understand what being at South Carolina is all about. I think Monty did a pretty good job of this when he took over as the interim. This is something that I think goes in line with the induction, is that he would bring in former guys from those teams to come talk to the players before a game or whatever. I think like stuff like that is how you go about getting the alumni involved. I think that is something that is so quintessential. Like, make sure those guys feel like they're still part of the team to some respect, because they are the history and the legacy of this program. And I think that helps those guys that are on the team now. They kind of get a greater understanding of why South Carolina baseball can be so special and what the history is here. Because I'm sure some of them just don't know that. Maybe some of them don't care. Maybe some of them are just here for the financial, value of being here and whatnot. That's cool if that's the case. But I think it does help add to the history, and I think it's a recruiting tool, man. Those World Series trophies. If South Carolina didn't have those World Series trophies, I think things are a little bit different as far as the way we talk about this program and why kids want to come here. So, it's a good step in the right direction, but there's a lot of work to do. I think this is, if it was intended to be like this, it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I know we're all excited, I hope we have a great turnout. Like that's the other thing we know now in June. We can start putting plans in place and everything. So I'll definitely be there. So I hope we have a good turnout and we're all able to catch up and like I said, make some plans to go see some baseball next year. Some good baseball next year.
Yeah, so it'll be pretty cool to see. Of course, looking forward to seeing what the turnout is like for that. But I think that is going to do it for us. A little bit of a shorter show, but again, we still don't have a coach to talk about. Guys have entered the portal. There's no new portal action to really talk about as of right now. I was kind of hoping maybe we'd get a hire made when we were coming on here, so we really could talk about that. But hey, maybe that means the next time we come on here, we will have a coach to talk about being here at South Carolina. Maybe it's the end of this week. Maybe it's next week. I don't know when it's going to be.
Maybe it's tomorrow, baby. Maybe we are right back on here tomorrow.
Maybe. And if that's the case, we'll figure it out and see what we can do. But yeah, that's going to do it for us for now. So we'll be back on here for sure next week. Like every week, we will be on here. But if something does happen between now and then, we'll probably be back on here making plans to talk about what is going on with the coaching situation. So any final thoughts before we get off here?
No, man. Like I said, I'm excited for a new coach. I'm ready for a new leadership to be brought in, and we can kind of get this thing back on track, and we can start talking about what the 2027 outlook starts to look like.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll be back on here again soon, guys. So for Gamecock Central, I'm Jack Veltri, as always, joined by 2010 College World Series champion, former right-handed pitcher, and of course now Hall of Famer at the University of South Carolina Athletics, Hall of Fame there, Ethan Carter. Appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.